Panther Nation podcast. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, cut it. Cut right. And I would like to introduce one of the hottest podcasts in Carolina history. Let's go. Yeah. Let's check. We got time to chop it up. Talking analytics and fantasy draft. You know what's up. Panther Nation representing. Cause this is where we talk that. Talk that's so incredible. Make them rewind that talk back. Pause. Talking Panthers football, we discussing it all. On and off the field, you know exactly who to call. You know we the #1 podcast. Competition is non-existent, you need to stop that. Pause. It's an honor to be a Panther fan, pause. At Bank of America, that is where we ball. Coming to the jungle, then you gonna feel the pause. Winning the trophy for the city, it is the call. Black, white, and blue, we going Carolina strong. And this is the conversation where everyone belongs. Discussing all the numbers and topics, you know we got it. We the hottest podcast, and we poppin', let's go.
Yo, what's good? We back in this thing, and a lot, man. I mean, even since we dropped off, Dave, a lot has happened, bro. Like, a lot has happened. I mean, Phil Snow is out of here, which is no surprise. We talked about that earlier. I thought it would be at the end of the season, but they canned them, together at the same time.
And we got some. I don't know if we said it at the previous show about the $40 million situation. I think we did.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay. But yeah, we've been saying it for a while now that if Rhule goes, Snow's gone too. They're a package deal. That wasn't the case for Joe Brady because Joe Brady wasn't part of that regime. Wherever Rhule went, Snow was right there with him. But yeah, it's funny because my boy Cody said that there was a lot of chaos going on in them streets. But so when they reported that my guy, what's his name, Snow was let go, they were talking about disagreements, philosophical differences. So that tells you a lot about what you want to know about the defense, right? So, but yeah, man,
you can't really argue. The defense was playing well. So whether there were philosophical differences or not didn't really fucking matter because they were playing well. Defense wasn't the problem. There should have been some philosophical differences on the offense. That's where I see some philosophical differences because that's what was trash. I could care less about what the nuances of the defense was, but because the product was good. I don't care what was going on. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me because the product on the field was great. So, I mean,
it was great now.
Yeah.
It wasn't always great.
No. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. No, you're right. But we had a good product defensively.
Oh, no, the defense was great. The defense has been good this year. Absolutely. But let's not act like it wasn't always great. But if you want to go off statistical differences even though it does look good, even though the defense has looked really well, and I didn't check to see what the defensive rankings look like for Carolina right now, but I think Matt Rhule was bragging about the fact that he had the second best defense in the league last year. So take that as you wish.
But anyway, they let go of Phil Snow as well, fired. They also let go of an assistant special teams coach, Ed Foley, who has ties to Matt Rhule. So what you're starting to see is a lot of guys that are Matt Rhule apologists and loyalists are going to go right along with Matt Rhule. And I think that's going to go all the way down to the players. You're going to see a mass exodus of these guys. I hate to say it, that are Matt Rhule guys that maybe we thought are lesser talented. Maybe even guys like Robbie Anderson. Though all these guys, Robbie Anderson was the man that delivered the game ball to Matt Rhule just a week ago.
2 weeks ago.
And so a couple weeks ago, my fault. But all those guys, I mean, you're going to start to see those guys exit the building because, listen, Dave, you want me to pod or you want me to chill? You want me to
go
chill?
ahead, man. But before you start podding, shout out to the super chat. E-Rock 2020. If I'm Nebraska, my private jet is already in NC ready for Matt in his boxes. They haven't fired the coach at Nebraska yet, have they? I don't think they have.
Yeah, I think so. I thought. Maybe I'm thinking Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, I think they let go their coach. But yeah,
I know they're waiting for that to happen, but it hasn't. I don't think it's officially happened yet.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, man. So so do you want me to pod, Dave, or you want me to chill?
Man. We got a little bit of time before the presser's supposed to start.
Let's keep it. Let's keep it. And I got the presser up here, or I got the YouTube channel up here. So if it goes live, I will be able to see it, and we'll transition over. But if y'all want me to pod, and to be quite frank, Dave, a lot of the guys that are Rhule guys are on our roster, quite frankly, wouldn't be on any other NFL roster. Oh, do you want me to pod? Or you want me to
Joe Person explained that. But we knew that already. But Joe Person had a whole article talking about the fact that there was a lot of players on that team that would not be on the team if he didn't have the Rhule ties. There's a lot of Rhule tie players on that roster right now. A
whole lot.
Robbie, let me be clear though, because I don't want you guys thinking I'm just dissing Robbie because Robbie's got shooters. Robbie Anderson would have a space in the league. He was already an established player in the NFL before he came over here. But there were some players who weren't established players in the NFL that probably wouldn't have gotten their opportunity if it wasn't for Matt Rhule.
Yeah, shout out to
including our starting quarterback.
So do y'all want me to list them? Yeah, you want me to say names or no? You want me to chill? You want me to pod or you want me to chill, Dave? Well, you can let me know.
Do you want to interview these players or not? Do you want to interview these players or not?
Hey, listen, I don't think I do. The only one I got a lot of respect for is Miles Hartsfield. That's my guy, and I think he's talented. But he does. We didn't know, but he does have ties back to Matt Rhule because Matt Rhule recruited him. But I wouldn't call him a Rhule guy. So he wouldn't go in this conversation. He'd be the only one that I'd be like, all right, I don't want to say nothing bad about. But guys like Bravion Roy, guys like Sam Franklin, who else, bro? We drafted Kalon Barnes, bro. These guys are not gonna be on anybody's roster, bro. As soon as they get up out of here, they ain't making nobody up. PJ Walker, bro. Yeah. PJ Walker played for the Colts, and then went to the XFL. He lit that shit up. But after that, PJ Walker won't be on the NFL team, bro. It's just facts.
The only way PJ Walker will be on an NFL roster is if there's a roster that needs a backup quarterback and the starter's black. That's the only reason why. That's the only scenario I see it. That's the only scenario. Like if because shout out to Sheena Quick. She mentioned that if Steve Wilkes calls Cam will come. If that happens. But I know we're gonna bring that. I know you don't want to hear it. I'm just laying it out there for you. So
yeah, I don't know if I think we all need to go ahead and move on from the Cam train. But I mean, I don't think Cam is going to change. He's not going to make too much of a difference in the win-loss column in my mind at this point.
But I don't think any quarterback, unless we getting an MVP candidate that's walking up here as a quarterback, I don't think there's many quarterbacks in the league that can. It's about. I think at this point, it's about making the season fun. Yeah. Can we make some fun out of this season? That's what it boils down to at this rate. So Cam damn near gave his retirement speech when he left. So
yeah. So real quick, we are going to go to the presser as soon as they set it up and go live. We will go to because David Tepper is going to speak at 3:45. That's why we're live right now. So stay tuned. It's supposed to happen at 3:45. Dave, matter of fact, I did an interview. I went uptown for a quick second. I did an interview at the stadium with Spectrum News and WXII. I think Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Triad area. So I did an interview up there, and they were waiting on the stuff to go down too. And as soon as I believe you text me and said they were going live, or Sheena, I saw somebody's joint that said they were going live at 3. I had to let the reporters know because I was doing the interview. But everybody's at the stadium, bro. Like when I was in the spaces for a hot second, and when Sheena and Vashta said they were leaving to go to the stadium, I was on my way there too. So yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to Spectrum News, shout out to WXI. I'll be on the news. It was real quick, man. It took us like 5 minutes to do both interviews. So they were out there waiting. They were trying to get like Panthers fans that were walking around and interview them. But yeah, it was good stuff. But all right. But yeah, we wait for David Tepper. But like I said, in the meantime, there's a lot of news. I mean, there's a lot of rumors. Like
Special
you
team
got to be
coordinator got let go too.
Tabor.
Not Tabor, the other guy. Oh, we already mentioned him. Yeah,
We
the
already
guy.
talked about that, Dave. What
Yeah,
the hell are you talking
see,
about? Is you focused or no?
yo,
Ed Foley. Dave is
yes.
not focused at all. Ed Foley, we talked about that earlier.
I got the itis, man. I finally got my lunch. Spare me, please, for the love of God. Okay.
So the other thing I want to say is that Joe Person. It's a first of all, let me make this clear here. Let me make this clear. Everybody, please be careful where you're getting your news from. Don't start retweeting everything thinking it's legit. Okay, be careful. Don't start tagging me on bullshit. Okay, please. It's not the time for that. We need to take a step back and really vet all this stuff. Okay, but I do want to say one thing from a vetted news source, and that's going to be Joe Person. Joe Person says something to keep an eye on. Luke Kuechly is close with both Steve Wilks and Al Holcomb. Al Holcomb was promoted to defensive coordinator. Okay, that's fact. These are facts we're talking about. Joe Person reports that I would not rule out the possibility of Luke Kuechly coming back in some capacity. We heard some things about Luke not really. We heard some of that stuff. Right now, he's one of the analysts. He's doing a broadcast for the radio broadcast or whatever. But keep an eye. Luke Kuechly could come back to the staff in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Keep an eye on it. Again, don't just start tagging me on bullshit. Please. Just vetted sources only. It's a lot of stuff going on right now. Please be careful. Be careful what you read. Okay? Be careful. And I will see if you go and look at the list of coaches, guys like Jeff Nixon. There's a bunch of other guys that you could keep an eye on that could be up out of here too. I'm pulling up the coaching roster right now.
There's a laundry list of them.
Damn, they even erased. Hold on, bro. They got homie off the daggone website, yo. They move with the quickness.
Oh well, nah, man. Look, man, Tepper ain't broke. Second richest owner in the league.
They erased this man off the website. Shout out to the Panthers for keeping their website up to date. But Steve Wilks, interim head coach, and listen, this was a part of the plan. This was a part of the plan. We were going to get rid of Matt Rhule, and then it could potentially, promote one of these guys. We talked about it as soon as we hired these dudes, McAdoo and Wilks. I've been saying this for the months now. When Matt Rhule gets fired, Wilks is going to get promoted. We're still waiting for them to go live. Hang tight. You haven't missed anything just yet. We're still waiting for David Tepper to speak. It's supposed to happen at 3:45. So hang in there. I'll let y'all know, or y'all can let me know when it goes live. It has not happened right now. But if you look at the list of guys on the head coaching staff, okay, that could be up out of here. Jeff Nixon, he's another Rhule guy. He's assistant head coach / offensive guy. He could be up out of here too. Guys like Evan Cooper, the cornerbacks coach. These guys are all Rhule guys. Phil Snow, he's already out of here.
Phil Snow is gone, B. I'm looking through the list now.
No, Phil Snow's still here, actually. They still got Phil Snow up here.
Where?
And what I'm looking at, if you go to the team, click coaches, he's still
I don't see a Phil Snow up here.
Let me refresh. Bro, they definitely removed him. They definitely removed him from the time I clicked it to like 2 seconds ago. They just removed him, B.
He gone, bro.
Wow.
Nixon is still up here, though. Nixon's still up here, though.
Yeah, so just keep an eye on. There's gonna be a couple other guys. Nixon, Evan Cooper, Servano, all these guys. There could be some more guys that are out of here too. Especially when it comes down to assistants. They got a lot of assistants that are going to be up out of here as well.
But at the same time, maybe some of them will stay. Like we know that.
Please, we need to erase everything. Everything. Shout out to SC Bass. He's right. Hit the sub button for your boys. 440 6 people watching. We're gonna, as soon as Tepper speaks, we're gonna go live to it. So stay tuned. Hang in there. It's supposed to happen at 3:45. I don't see anything on the Panthers website or YouTube just yet, and I'm watching it. So hang in there. Hang in there. Hang in there. Okay. But yeah, man, a lot of can I play QB? Y'all don't want me playing QB, dog.
No,
I definitely
sure
can't play QB. It's a wrap. Nah, PJ got it. And we didn't even talk. Did we talk about Baker and the high ankle sprain? Was that confirmed on the last stream?
No.
Oh, they just went live. Hold on. They just went live.
Let's go.
No, I don't see it.
Check Twitter. Let's see, pull up
I don't
Twitter
see it, dog.
quick.
Nope.
Oh no, they're live. They're live. I got it. Give me 1 second.
Where? Okay,
I got
you
it.
got it, Dave.
Give it. Let me drive real quick. Hopefully, you guys can hear it for y'all's sake, but we'll see. Otherwise, we'll probably swap it. But
it hasn't started yet. But...
It hasn't started yet, but here it is. Here it is.
Full screen. Can we get another YouTube video for a test?
Sure.
Just pull up another YouTube video real quick.
Let me just X this real quick.
And then you got a full screen that joint.
I will. Hold on. Let's see.
We have our first, not even the final game of
week
5.
Perfect.
Tonight.
Wow.
Hasn't been played.
I can't hear shit, so that's what I'm asking. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it fine.
I can't hear a damn
tonight.
thing.
So
all right, Jay, I got it. I got it, Dave. Hold on.
And the
all right, you found it?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear nothing.
Yet.
No, I know.
Let me just get a YouTube video real quick. Can you hear this? Can you hear that?
And Finn Balor.
Yep, can y'all hear it?
Huh?
Can y'all? Yeah, I can hear it.
Can you hear it, Dave, or no?
No, I said yeah, I can hear it. I heard it.
Okay. All right.
It sound like a crowd. I said yeah, like 10 times.
It was a WWE joint.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
As long as y'all can hear.
I'm gonna turn my volume all the way up. All right, and we're just gonna wait for this thing to start.
Well, this day has arrived, man. Tepper, you know he ain't gonna say shit, right? He gonna be like, we just decided to go in another direction. I would like to thank Matt Rhule for his services.
No, fuck that. No, I need to hear.
Dog, that's what it.
Nah, I need to see this man say, "Yo, my bad, yo. I was wrong about the guy. I did just because he smelled like me, looked like me. I was wrong." And I want him to come up here and say that I mismanaged this entire thing. That's what I want him to say, Dave. That's what I want him to say. I mismanagement. Take some ownership of it. I mismanaged everything.
Yo, Greg Olson responded to Joe Person saying he's currently unavailable. We're making a run in 11U Pop Warner playoffs. Back off. That's the response to him about Luke Kuechly coming to work for the Panthers. I'm dying. I am dying right now.
I saw that.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I need Tep to come up here and say though, for real. Tep need to be like, yo, I fucked up. My bad, y'all. I picked the wrong guy. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. If he says anything less than that, it's not acceptable. And I want him to apologize for calling us basement Twitter. I want him to own up to that too. He needs to apologize for it. That's what needs to happen.
So I guess here's another one while we wait for this to start. Shout out to Tea Time. Steve Smith just insinuated that DJ Moore came to him frustrated about the whole situation in Carolina last week and was asking for advice. That was on WFNZ.
And homie's been there. Steve Smith has been through this.
Mm-hmm.
Per Sheena, it appears Phil Snow firing was a Steve Wilkes decision. If that's true, the words in the street seem to be true. That night it could be right.
That means Cody's got a.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be a surprise either.
No, No.
So we still waiting for this thing to start. Still has not started yet.
Let me see. Let me pull up Sheena's. Let me fill up Sheena's Twitter real quick.
Hold on real quick. I gotta go make sure my daughter get in the house good.
All right. Yeah, so about that high ankle sprain of Baker Mayfield, he's gonna miss a couple of weeks, even though there's been reports saying that Baker might get a second opinion, but we'll see what happens. What players do you think are untouchable? In a fire sale, there's no player untouchable, but I do think there are certain players that won't be able to is a trade asset unless the receiving team is going to take some of the cap hit, which means we won't get as much much compensation back if that's the case. But if you want to ask me who's untouchable, my opinion, DJ Moore's probably untouchable. At this point, I don't think Derek Brown is I think Derek Brown is probably untouchable, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to trade him anyway because he's been playing at an elite level. If you guys were at our gig earlier today, our live stream earlier this morning, you would have noticed the statistics on him. It looks like Derek Brown is like the 11th best defensive lineman from a PFF standpoint. Yeah, so there's a few folks. I mean, I think a lot of the untouchable players are going to be more from a cap situation standpoint too. I think CMC could be traded. I think that Brian Burns could be traded. I think anybody that has a contract coming up.
Here we go.
There we go.
These days are never easy. It's very human times in a very public way. Had a conversation with the coach this morning. It was short, cordial. He's a gentleman, a true gentleman. I then had a conversation with Steve Wilkes and named him interim coach and had that conversation. And with that, I'll take questions.
We'll start with Darren. Dave, you talked before about wanting to build a long-term sustainable winner. Ultimately, why did you choose to make this decision today as opposed to at any point previously like this offseason?
Look, there's numerous reasons why you make a decision like that. Ultimately, I felt this was a time. Now was a time.
Good job. Dave, Matt has expressed at various times as you have trying to find the quarterback, trying to find the franchise quarterback. It appears that search is still ongoing. How much of that responsibility do you bear?
Look, ultimately, I'm the head of the organization, and ultimately, I always bear responsibility. I'm not the person that makes those decisions. I'm brought into those decisions. Listen, we will find, and we may have that person right now, but I believe we will have that person eventually.
That was a damn good question, bro. Whoa, that was a good question.
Going forward to find the next head coach, assuming that you'll lead that, will Scott be part of that? Will Drummond be part of that? What will that process look like?
Listen, we're far away from that right now. Right now, we have a lot of season left. I'd rather talk about the season left. Right now, Steve Wilkes is a coach.
So we'll watch it.
Good answer.
Tepper, speaking of this season, what does the rest of this season look like as an evaluation period for Steve? And do you see him as a candidate potentially for the big job next season?
There's a lot of season left, and we'll see how the season goes. Ultimately, he's in a position to be in consideration for that position. I had a talk with Steve. No promises were made, and but obviously, if he does an incredible job, he has to be in consideration for that.
Dave, how much did what happened yesterday matter to you in terms of your timing, the fire Matt Rhule chance, the fact that there were so many 49ers fans here, and the 22-point loss?
Listen, as I said, there's numerous reasons why you make a decision. There might have been a little bit of loss of intensity on the field yesterday. I would say that's probably evident versus the first 4 games. Listen, I have great respect for the fans, and I do hear the fans. But ultimately, that can't be a reason why you make a change like this. But and again, there's numerous reasons why you make a change like this.
And Dave, back in, I think, end of April, you said this could take 5, maybe 6 years to get turned around. What's happened in between there to make you feel like that Matt couldn't be the guy to turn it around?
Look, again, a lot of time has, passed here. We have the record we have. And, again, there's different reasons that go into that. I think that there has been progress of some sort, but look, we're just not getting over the hump. And we got to get over the hump.
With Steve Wilks specifically, why was he named interim head coach?
Look, it's good to have somebody internally that's familiar with the team and, with the people in the building, so to speak. Steve is a leader of men. He has experience as a head coach. And I thought he's the best candidate, in the building for that role.
We're going to Phil.
What's your message to fans? You mentioned the fans. Do you have a message for them who may feel like this thing maybe wasn't moving in the right direction?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you have a message to the fans who maybe felt that the franchise wasn't moving in the right direction after this move?
Look, football is a funny business. Things take time, and as a former fan, I don't want to hear that. I want an answer. I want to win today, and I don't care about anything else. And I understand that, and I want to win too. But I do think we have made some progress, and we will make future progress. I think it's pretty reported out there that defense is, has some respect for the defense. It's probably a top half of the league defense or better. I think the offensive line is probably the best offensive line we've had since I've been here. Can get better, but I think that's probably fair to say. So I do think those are kind of foundation pieces. I think we have a lot further to go, and I think eventually we'll get over the hump.
What insight do you have on the firing of Phil Snow?
Tomorrow, I think you'll have a chance to talk to Steve Wilks. I did talk to Steve before, that. He told me, he was going to think about these, few different positions, and that's obviously been reported out there. You should talk to Steve Wilks tomorrow.
Given the state of the roster and the upcoming strength of schedule, what are your realistic expectations when it comes to Steve Wilks? You expect him to get your team over the hump with this remaining season left?
Look, I think we always have an expectation to win and trying to find a way to win. And, that's never changing. Steve is familiar with the team. I have confidence in him, and we'll see.
We're going to go to Steve Reed and then we'll go to Brett.
Dave, how hard of a decision was this for you? I mean, you've been in Pittsburgh, you've seen that they've had a lot of patience with head coaches. And one of the things that you preach was, being patient, taking time to develop. How hard did that make this decision, being that he was only here a little over 2 years?
I think, it's a funny thing, that thing called patience. If you ask the average fan out there, they think I was ridiculously patient on both these situations here. I think you have to show the right amount of patience and see the progress that's made. Are we winning more? Are we progressing in different ways? And I think in all those situations you just spoke of, there has been that. And I think, unfortunately, we haven't, like I said, got over that hump to win. And I think that's what it is.
Dave, could you address the vast amount of empty seats that have been there the last few weeks, maybe half full? And just to clarify, are you saying it was Steve Wilkes that decided to fire Phil Snow and not you guys?
Just listen, it's an interesting thing you say that, but because we have 63,000 people butts in seats. Now, unfortunately, there was too many red butts in seats this week. That was not, again, the reason, a reason for that. As I said, we just can't get over the hump.
And was it Wilkes that decided to let Phil Snow go? Was it Wilkes that decided to let Phil Snow go, or was that you and Fitterer? How did that come about?
That was basically usually a head coach gets to choose his coaching staff. Okay. And, I was informed that he might want to make these changes, and I wanted to give him some time to think about it. He thought about it and he did it. So you should talk to him tomorrow again.
Majority of a GM's job is done during the off season. What direction do you want Scott to take as you focus on the rest of this season?
Look, we have to be very careful about how we use our limited resources. We have 200 plus million salary cap. We have how many draft choices we have. So we, including me, to the extent I'm involved at all, have to be more diligent in how we do that.
That said, given where the team is right now, is there a thought process to maybe get ahead of next year and make some moves?
Listen, we're always thinking about what moves should be made, and at this point in time, it's a little premature to answer that question.
I think we talked to you in the offseason. You had the full support of Matt in the offseason, understandably, at that time. What did you see in him at that point that did not happen in the regular season, but you thought that he could get the job done to give him another year?
I thought flexibility in the staff and trying to upgrade the coaching staff at that point in time and having that sort of flexibility to see how that all worked out. Again, I think there's been some improvements. There's always some improvements, but not enough. And we're obviously not getting over the hump. So, that's the bottom line.
And real quick, he had a final say, I believe, in quite a bit of the roster. Will that philosophy for you change going forward? Will you not give that to the head coach, or is that something you believe in?
I think a balance is probably more appropriate between the head coach and the GM, a better balance.
Hi. You've mentioned the phrase getting over the hump several times. What does that look like to you?
And it's winning. Winning.
Can you quantify that as far as the number of wins? Is it a Super Bowl appearance? Is it going to the playoffs?
Winning more this year than you did last year. Having the appearance of winning more than you did last year. Looking like you're going to win more than you did last year. By that definition, I don't think we're over the hump. We started off 1-4 this year. We, had 5 wins the last 2 seasons. We, had a different lack of success at other seasons. So we have to somehow change that culture, see how we can change that culture and try to win. And whatever that takes, we're going to try to find that.
2 questions. One, is your plan currently to move forward with Scott as GM into 2023? And 2, do you think there's something advantageous about having a GM and a head coach both come in at the same time together?
It's a little premature to ask those questions. Scott is our GM. There's no thought of mine right now. Right now, my focus is Wilkes and helping him have success in the new role.
Dave, you hired Matt Rhule about 33 months ago. What have you learned about building a winning and sustainable product in that time period from then to now?
Listen, I think that, as an organization, we have to maintain patience in roster building and different positions. And just a little bit more patience would be good, and remembering all the time that we are in a limited resource business. We have the same amount of money to spend as the next team. Nobody has more, nobody has less. We have the same amount of draft picks as the next team. Nobody has more, nobody has less. We have to make sure we use that as, as best we can, and really, really consider that and strategically think about it.
Joe, how do you kind of reconcile the patience message, though, when you see other teams around the league having success earlier with newish coaches and getting to the playoffs?
It's funny. I get asked, you just asked that question of being too patient, and somebody says you're not patient enough. And I said, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that's kind of, where I am. You have to show enough patience to see how things work out. And then ultimately, are you winning enough? I mean, that's the bottom line here is the bottom line. Fortunately, that's the way it is. Fans care about your winning, and quite frankly, that's why we're all here. We're not in here to do anything but try to win games. And if we're not winning games, is there something else that matters? And look, I mean, you have to be patient enough to see what develops and how it develops, to give things enough time. And that was, you're saying, did you give it too much time? Other person just asked, did you give it enough time? Yeah, I think it's a balancing act, and I try to, balance it both ways.
And would you do a 7-year contract again?
I don't really want to talk about contracts, one way or another. But listen, it's probably in a lot of things in this game, it probably might make more sense to be more conforming in some ways. On the other hand, look, it's about taking chances and taking risks sometimes in life. Sometimes things work out. Sometimes you learn from those risks. So if you don't take chances, don't take risks, you don't win, usually. Okay, so I'm not gonna. Any individual risk we take on the field, depending if it's smart risk and not smart risk. So, and you learn. So, look, I mean, just in general, and I'll say this is, 4 years in this business, 2 years during COVID. I'm still learning, quite frankly. We had dinner with some owner. Their family's been in the business for 40 years. Okay, I'm going to be humble enough to say that it's a big difference from being in a seat of a fan or being up here, and you're trying to balance. You just gave the question about patience both ways. You try to balance that and try to learn from your mistakes, and hopefully we're smart enough to do that.
Do you think that Matt's transition from college, where he had success, to pro had anything to do with his struggles to win? And would you consider a college coach to be your next head coach still?
Look, again, it's premature to answer that question. I'd like to see what Steve Wilks does, just quite frankly. I'm not going to generally rule that out. On the other hand, there is a history of successful coaches in the NFL. You can go look it up. Every fan can go look it up and see what it is. I'm aware of what that is, and I have to be cognizant and pay attention to that.
Let's go, Darren. Dave, you mentioned your expectations for the rest of this season. If the season ended right now, this team would pick first overall in next year's draft, and that's where quarterbacks are taken. How do you balance the present versus the future in terms of what you want to see from this team?
I'm trying to understand your question exactly.
Is it more important to win now or be in position to draft a quarterback high in next year's draft?
Okay, if that's your question. Listen, there's no way that every day you can't go in with a winning attitude. And there's no other way to be. You have to try to win all the time. You have to try to win for the players. You have to try to win for the fans. And yes, I understand what it is, about draft picks and getting quarterbacks and stuff like that. And I understand the importance of quarterbacks in this league. But you have to try to win always.
Let's go Phil and Will.
I got you. Dave, what'd you learn from the last coaching search that you could take into this one? You mentioned education and kind of learning as you go.
Look, I think that there's some things different we would do in the process in general, as far as consultants and such like that in that search. But again, it's premature to ask that question. So,
terms of interaction with the players, did you have any, or was there any type of, I guess, counseling from either the players' leadership group or anything like that
In what regard?
with this move being made?
Not really.
Steve, David, and Ellis.
Dave, obviously there's a trade deadline coming up. I guess my question to you is, do you feel like this team needs to be rebuilt? I mean, would it be possible? Do you feel like you guys need to maybe, try to trade some of the veteran guys, get in draft picks, and build for the future? Do you feel like this thing needs to be rebuilt, or do you feel like you're just still a few pieces away?
I think that we have to figure out how to get a culture of winning here, okay, which we haven't had in a long time in this place. And as I said at some point, we never have won. This team has never had 2 winning seasons. So I don't really think it ever had a real culture of winning. So how do you develop that culture of winning, between players, coaches, and the rest? And look, like I said, you have to understand the resources you have and try to get the best resources you have. So that's a question. I'm looking over the roster you have right now, trying to figure out how you can have the best roster in the future.
Bro, I'm about ready to jump through this shit, Dave.
Some areas are weaknesses. There are a lot of good areas.
This is why I stay on mute, sir. This is why I stay on mute.
That they're better than they were a few years ago, but we have to put it together, and we have to, hate to repeat myself again, have to get over the hump and have to figure out how to learn how to win all the time.
You said when you bought this team, though, you had to change the culture. And now in 3 years, you had 2 different head coaches you had to fire in season. And then beyond that, a soccer coach you had to fire. So what is the culture right now of your organization and your group as a whole?
Look, I think that we have a pretty good culture in some respects in the building. I think we have to be confident in ourselves. I think we have to realize we have a lot of good players on this roster, a lot of good players that we can win with, and they have to have confidence in themselves to know that they can do that. And it's accountability. Listen, I'm accountable. I'm accountable to the fans. Everybody's accountable. You guys are accountable in your own jobs. The players are accountable on the field for their positions. Everybody has to be held accountable and realize there's no place to hide. Okay? There's no place to hide in this sport. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody sees how everybody's playing, and everybody has to know that and play to their best, their best of their ability. And we have to just, do better in instilling that and instilling the to winning. We'll get there.
Mr. Tepper, since you took over, this team has had 4 head coaches, 1 you inherited, 2 interims now, 2 general managers, 1 you inherited, 3 team presidents, $800 million practice facility that sits dormant. I am wondering, what is the reason for the turnover and lack of follow through that has been shown under your
Woo!
Can you speak
Ether.
more specific about what
Ether
you
that
asked?
dude.
Because you asked a lot of questions there.
So I listed 4 head coaches, 2 general managers.
Okay, you're talking
2
about
team-
you're asking about the head coach, and I addressed that, the head coach and the interim head coaches, okay? And then your next question is what?
He big mad.
There's been 3 team presidents, 2 general managers, and an $800 million practice facility that sits dormant. I am wondering what is the reason or the largest cause for the turnover in leadership positions and the lack of follow through in terms of Rock Hill.
Big mad.
I think that
Great question.
As I just went through the coaches before. I think as far as presidents, there's been different various reasons that we've moved on from different people, and that's respect. And in this organization, just as an aside, away from football, in this 4 years, 2 COVID years, we brought in, besides football, we brought in a soccer team that is setting records, okay, and bringing 34,000 and revitalizing the city. We brought music back, not back to Charlotte. There never was music in Charlotte, with concerts. We reopened restaurants because of what we've done here. So if you look at what's really been done on the field by this organization, there's been no lack of progress in these 4 years, 2 COVID years. Okay. So you want to look at the results? Okay, it's a results-oriented business. We've won and we've won. You know, the place we're not, you know, we'll do better on the football field, you know, in the future.
He's big mad, bro.
Dave, can you talk about the conversation you had with
He ain't
Steve
built for this, man.
about when he went to high school here, went to college here? Was he overly excited? Was he tepid? Like, what was his reaction when you had that conversation with him?
Listen, Steve loves this area, loves Charlotte. So if you're in somebody who loves this area, loves Charlotte, of course you're going to be a little bit excited. Obviously, a question for Steve, though. So you should ask Steve the question tomorrow.
Dave, this is just a timeline question, but did you wake up this morning and decide to do this? Did you know last night? I just wonder what your own decision process was here.
Scott, I read your column, okay? You know better, okay? Every day, you know, this is an everyday thinking about things, how we can be better, what should we do, when is the right time, when's not the right time. And I said there's numerous factors that go into it. I answered that question before. You know, there's a tipping point that gets reached. It just so happened we got to the tipping point. And I think you understand that, you know,
But you're saying you're not very specific on what the reasons were other than you didn't win. I mean, was there something I'm missing other than that these 11 and 27?
You want me to read? I can actually, you know, I shouldn't say that, but I actually read your columns and I can go back to your columns and regurgitate them. So you can read your own columns, okay? For that answer.
Oh, he's big mad, bro.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, nah, we got to run this back. Dave, hey, nah, Dave. No, sir. This is not, this press conference was not acceptable. This was not acceptable. Listen, this man sat up here and played the COVID card. Like, bro, every other team dealt with COVID too. Like, you had like you was the only team dealing with COVID. Everybody had to deal with COVID. You can't play the COVID card, bro. You can't do that.
And the thing that makes it even worse is that every team is not in the same city and state. So every state had different jurisdictions of how they could handle certain things. So, for example, the Patriots.
The thing that's different about a verbal vacation.
Sorry.
Yeah. For example, the Patriots, they're in New England. We have some of the tightest COVID protocols, period, in the country. Like tight, compared to North Carolina, compared to South Carolina, and compared to a lot of other states. California had some tight ones too. So, yo, man, he ain't happy. I can tell you that.
No, he's not. And so let me say this because he was big mad. He was real perturbed. He was angry. Didn't want to answer any of the questions. He was very emotional when it came to him getting challenged. I do want to give our beat writers and reporters some credit here. Those are some good questions, some really good, hard-hitting questions. Like when my man asked about the number of coaches, the number of presidents, the number of general managers, and then the amount of money spent on a failed practice fit. Like that was an excellent question. And he deflected we got a soccer.
Interest.
He had no answer. He didn't want to answer. First of all, I've already answered that, blah, 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 blah. And look what we've done on the soccer, bro. We don't care about the music. First of all, nobody I know goes to those damn concerts that you hold in that stadium. Them joints is not for.
Didn't y'all just have this big?
Go ahead.
Didn't they just have some big artists that was at that stadium? I gotta go check. Not anybody I want to go see.
He might like those types of musical acts, but I haven't been to not one of them during concerts, bro. He ain't diversifying his funds. He ain't diversifying his music choices, bro. Ain't nobody going to that crap.
No, I just want to see what concerts they are. I'm just curious now,
bro. They whack. I know
they
had Elton John. Like that's cool.
They had Elton John.
But you gotta mix it up. Anybody going to that shit. Where Hov at?
Jay-Z can't handle all 32 teams when it comes to all the music acts that come in their stadiums, bro. He can only do the Super Bowl. Hov can't fix everything.
Hov did.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Luke Combs. That might be your lane, man. That ain't my lane. Country's not
That ain't
my
my lane, bro. That ain't my lane.
Unless it's, there's only a few country acts I mess with, and Luke Combs ain't one of them.
I ain't going to them joints. But anyway, he brought up all this stuff that had nothing to do with the football field. Like the reason why you got red in the stands, that you brought the red butts in the seats, was because you have a piss poor product on the field. If you had a better product, then those fans, our stadium wouldn't get overrun. So address that. Don't start bringing up all this other stuff. We don't care about all that. We don't care about that. Okay, let's talk. I took some notes. Let's talk about it.
All right,
okay,
let's go.
A question that was asked, Dave. Have you learned your lesson? This is loosely quoted. I don't have the direct quote. Have you learned your lesson about college coaches? Are you going to hire another college coach? And I will give him. I'll give him. I do like the way he is giving Wilkes, or it appears that he's giving Wilkes a true shot to prove his worth. Like he is deflecting and say now is the right time. I get that. I completely get that, and he should do that. So I'm not going to kill him for that. I applaud that, in fact. But bro, you need to say I'm not hiring no college coaches after you sat there and said there's evidence that shows that college coaches don't work. He alluded to it. He said you can look up the stat, you can look up the numbers, that college coaches don't work. And then he goes off to say, oh, you got to take chances. You got to go on. You got to take chances and take risks. Like, bro, there's not enough. There's a calculated risk. You have to take smart risks. Hiring a college coach with the history of them failing in the NFL is not a good calculated risk. I'm sorry, it's not. And so he should have just said, you know what? Next time there's a better chance I'm gonna go with a guy with more experience. That's what he should have said. Just say I'm gonna go with the guy with more experience. Just don't even. We don't want any more college coaches here. If you fuck around and hire another college coach, I'm switching teams. Dave. I can't deal with it. If Steve Wilkes gets fired, or excuse me, not fired, but if he's not the interim head coach, and we bring another college coach, I'm switching teams, Dave. I'm switching teams. The
answer made it sound like he might not go that route this next round, which is not a
no. He left the door open though. He left the door open.
This is a good question.
No.
What if he hired? No. Race ain't got nothing to do with it, bro. If Matt Rhule was black and he came and he rebuilt 2 college programs, I would have said the same damn thing. I don't want a college coach.
Unless it's Deion Sanders, no.
No, he's not even Deion. But not even Deion. I don't want one.
Deion played in the league, so I cut him.
Who gives a damn? That don't mean he's gonna be a good head coach.
It's true.
Shit, what
but
the hell that mean?
At least he can really talk to it, though. I played it. What did Rhule do?
And on top of that, but then again, Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time. You know what I'm saying? So no, I'm good. And by the way, these great players, they tend to not make great head coaches in their professional leagues that they were great in.
That's true.
I mean, I think the only one I could think of off the top of my head, Larry Bird was a pretty good coach for the Pacers, but that's about it. When you said, I'm gonna think about it. Magic was not a good coach. And I love Peyton Manning. I don't think he will be a good head coach either. Maybe a good OC, but not a good head coach.
So Dave, we got to talk. There's a few other topics because I felt like Scott Fitterer was getting some heat here too. I feel like Scott Fitterer was getting some shade. There was some shade thrown towards Scott Fitterer in this press conference. Okay, we got to talk about it. He was non-committal essentially to having Fitterer come back. We don't know anything to be true at this moment. And then what irked me even more was what they followed up with the question in that what are your thoughts on bringing in a head coach and a GM at the same time? That's bro. If we bring in another college coach, I'm switching teams. Try me to hire another college coach and see what happens. But anyway, so talking about Scott Fitterer, I think the question was asked, are you going to bring in a GM and a head coach at the same time, essentially? And he was like, I don't know. We'll see. Like, Just stuff like that. That's where you can say, yo, I own up to my mistakes. I made a mistake. Next time I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. You don't got to give your whole process. You don't got to give your whole process. Shout out to we got 1,000 people in the building, Dave.
That's
Shout
why.
out to
That's why
hit the like button
and subscribe. You haven't done something already. And yo, man, I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers. So if you don't mind, my ticker's right there. You know what I'm saying? Hook me up. I'm almost there. I'm close. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The channel's at 2,000 on Twitter, but I need to break 1,000, man. There's 1,000 y'all in here. Y'all can hook me up. That'd be great.
Get us up to 1,000. Excuse me, at least 500 likes or something, man. We appreciate y'all joining us.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate y'all joining us,
man.
And hit the subscribe button while you're here. Hit that subscribe button. Some of y'all probably not subscribed, so hit that subscribe button for your boy. We appreciate that. All right. Scott Fitterer, non-committal on Scott Fitterer, Dave. Non-committal on Scott Fitterer. Non-committal on bringing him back. Another interesting thing was that he did not counsel the players when he made his decision. Players didn't have no input. They didn't talk to him. Like, when you talk about culture, bro, give your players the respect. At least give them the respect to say, you know what, it ain't working out. We gonna move on. Like, it's little shit like that matters. Talk to your players,
I guess Coach Rhule was able to wish him well.
No, Coach Rhule's going bye-bye. You got to see these players, Dave. It should have been this is how it should have went down. This is what a real dude would have done. It would have been me and Matt Rhule. If I'm David Tepper, it would have been myself and Matt Rhule addressing the team. It would have been a joint discussion. Tap, go to unfortunately, things ain't working out. But I want to let you all know before it touches the media, before anything happens, from me as an owner, I feel like it's the right time to move on. Okay, and I'm gonna let Matt Rhule get his last words with you all. But as an owner, he needs to let them. And he don't gotta counsel them. I think that's not the right thing. He shouldn't listen. I think he should get the perception of the counseling, right? At least bring them in and say, I want to hear your thoughts. But at the end of the day, it's your team. You make the decision. So I get that.
But maybe that's why he did the approach he did, because he knew that a lot of the team was still behind him. So maybe that's why he made the call that he did.
You still got to deal with it, Dave. It ain't going nowhere. If they felt that way, they're gonna feel that way tomorrow when they wake up. They're still gonna feel that way. So it ain't gonna change anything. That's why sometimes you got to address things head on.
But then I'm trying to think about what did Richardson do? But then again, he never really fired the coach. He typically just waits till the contract expires and he just walks off. I think Seifert might have been the only one he truly fired. The more I think about it, I have to double check that. I think Seifert was the one. John Fox, he just let the contract go. He just didn't extend him. So they called it a firing, but not this.
And Dave, my bad. I cut you off, man. My fault.
No, you good. You good.
It just hit me, man. We got to talk about what he said about the lack of winning culture here, bro. That really pissed me off. About I know what he meant to say in regards to the back-to-back winning seasons. I understand what he meant to say. But for him to say there was not a winning culture here before he got here, fam, that's cap. Do we need to pull it back up to get the exact wording? Y'all want me to pull it back up?
We gotta find
that was cap, bro. I gotta find. I don't want to have to do all that.
But here's the thing you gotta. I just remember when Rivera got let go, and they let Rivera do a closing presser. I don't think Matt Rhule's going to get that luxury, but they let Rivera do a closing presser when he got let go. Probably because of the fact of how long he was the head coach of the team. And you remember when he kept saying, I was the first coach to bring home back-to-back division titles. No other coach has done that. And the first to do it in the NFC South. So I think he said that the way that he did for a reason. I looked at the concert list that he's had since he's taken over the team, bro. Out of all the concerts I saw, there's probably two that I would probably mess with. I would go see Rolling Stones. And I would go see Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that's pretty much the list for me. I can't go see Garth Brooks. I can't go see Elton John. I can't go see Luke James. Sorry, guys. It's not me. But yeah. But nah, man, with the way when Rivera said that back to back to back, yo, he took that shit to heart because he wanted the folks to understand it ain't easy winning division titles. It ain't easy going to the Super Bowl. Like that's not an easy thing to do. So, and absolutely Ron deserved his flowers before he left. I mean, he had the same amount of years as Fox. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Rhule's not going to get a closer. It doesn't look like the closer's coming. You know? So that's that. But they did a pretty dope closeout for Rivera considering how it ended, but still. And I think that was another situation where he didn't get the owner did not talk to the players. Rivera had to address the players to let them know that he was let go and who the new coach was going to be. But it makes tomorrow more interesting to see what Wilkes is going to say tomorrow, man.
Yeah, Wilkes press conference. He's going to have a press conference tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting. He did allude to what we spoke about earlier before when we went live, Dave, on the fact that Wilkes did let go of Phil Snow. And the special assistant, special teams assistant.
Bro,
so
he didn't have to think about it that long either.
Confirmed.
He didn't have to think about it that long either. I mean, it was pretty quick. When Tepper kept saying, well, he had to go and think about some of these positions, and then the next thing I know, he did it. I'm like, dog, he didn't think too far along. So that's probably, I mean, that might have been a factor too of why, because you never know if they would have made McAdoo the coach if he was going to have other folks walk like that. So, you know, good for Wilkes. But now it's going to get interesting to see because he's going to have to hire some more staff members. So we'll see how this goes. He probably promoted some within, but you still got to, unless you're going to have a lot of these coaches doing multiple jobs. Like I'm looking at the list right now. So it'll be interesting to see. So right now, if you look,
go ahead.
Yeah, if you look at it right now, we don't have a defensive coordinator. Let me refresh the page. It might have changed since the last time we talked. Yep, nope, no defensive coordinator yet. So we'll see.
Al Holcomb is the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it'll end up being Al. Yeah, Al is the assistant head coach on the defense side. So, you know, so we'll see.
Shout out to my man Big Low. Shout out to. Go ahead, Dave. Hit him with a Superman chat.
Da-da-da. That's a Superman chat. Appreciate it, Big Low. Why are you laughing so hard, man?
Shout out to Big Low, man. Hey, shout out to Big Low. We gotta link up. We gotta link up in a couple weeks, Big Low. Y'all don't know what version of Panthers you gonna get. It might be some trash out there. Y'all might get an easy victory. You know,
or it might be a tough one because now we actually got a head coach. We actually got somebody that, you know, has been in the NFL long enough to understand how this works.
Yeah. So David Tepper again, man. So I want to get your thoughts, Dave. Yeah, I mean, the press conference? What we?
Yes.
You're happy with what he said? Oh, you talking about this question?
Yeah.
Or the press conference?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Nah, the press like Tepper was squirming. Tepper. I think Tepper was in the state of I really have no answers to these questions right now because I can't.
Yeah.
You know, like because like you said earlier, man, the beat writers, everybody, they were asking some phenomenal questions.
Boy, they came.
Tepper was not you would think it would be ready for him, but he kind of wasn't. And you could tell his facial, his reactions. I don't think he wanted to do it, but I think he had no choice but to do it. When he talked about
he got to come forth, man. He got to come forth to the congregation, man. He got to come forth to the altar.
But I think that when we look into I found it interesting about how he pretty much kind of dogged Charlotte a little bit. But we'll talk another day.
He did. I don't like that either. He did.
Yeah.
He did kind of take some shots. The Charlotte didn't have music before. That's cap. We didn't have it at the stadium, but I'm not going to the stadium to see the acts that you got.
I want to answer this. The New York Football Giants has pretty much just had a draft. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year with Joe Judge as the head coach. People thought that Daniel Jones was going to be done. They hired a head coach, and they're 4-1 with pretty much the same roster. So I say all that to say coaching matters. And besides, the way y'all were talking, I mean, this is the only undefeated quarterback on the roster. Matt Rhule was 2-0 when this guy started. He's going to keep it a buck. I think he's not that good of a quarterback, but he's somehow been able to win 2 games, including the shutout. But that's more on the defense, right? Coaching matters. Like and that's why prior to the season, when we were giving our season predictions, I said that this team could make the playoffs if the coaching comes through. You got to be able to coach. We should have beat Cleveland. We should have beat the Giants. We should have beat Arizona. We should have beat those 3 teams. We weren't going to beat San Francisco. Like that him getting fired after the San Fran game was all relative.
Is larger.
How attractive, because I hear all these names for the Carolina job. How attractive is this job without a quarterback?
Yeah, I think, look, I think it's attractive. And first off, the jump sometimes from a successful.
That man said they kept track of all the head coaches that they essentially can by being king of the hill. That's funny.
Tampa had the bulk of them when you sit down and think about it, right? Because after Gruden, they had a nice little carousel going on in Tampa Bay. Carolina had 3. He started when Fox was the coach and Rivera took over, and then Rhule at the end, tail end of it.
But I mean, if you listen to what Peyton is saying, though, it's all facts. It's everything we've been saying on this show. The good quarterbacks go to bad situations, and then they're asked to fix these teams. Even though they have great talent, individual talent, you got to lift an entire team, and there's outside forces that the quarterback itself has zero control over. Like it, and then when you get those guys that slide, they end up in these, they're mad. You know, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, everybody that slides down, they're mad, but they go to the best situations, and then they ball out.
I would love to try to see if I can name the 14 coaches.
No, we're not about to sit up here and do that. We're gonna be here all day.
Bro. Tampa had a damn carousel. He had Greg Schiano, Raheem Morris. Who else did they have?
Lovey.
God, man, those Lovey did coach in between. Tampa had the most of them shits. Brian, the last coach that just left. Oh God, the one that just won the Super Bowl with Brady. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Him, Dirk Cutter. Yep, because Lovey got let go for Dirk Cutter. Yep. Damn, that's a lot of coaches. I mean, Atlanta had Jim Moore, Dan Quinn, right? That was the 2 for them.
Yeah, so no, he didn't say that. What he said was finding a situation that has a good quarterback. It's like a unicorn.
It is.
It's like it doesn't happen. So when it opens up and you can get that job, that's that. Yeah. So I heard it wrong at first too, and then I kept listening. But he said finding that quarterback, finding that team that has a good quarterback is like a unicorn. And he wasn't talking about Carolina. Actually, if we would have kept Cam, we were kind of that unicorn team if we would have kept. But anyway, I digress. But yeah,
I stand by what I said too. By the way, guys, I feel like out of all the head coaches that we've ever had, Matt Rhule walked into the best situation out of them all. From a talent standpoint, he walked into, there it is. Oh, I forgot about Mike Smith. Jesus. Mora, Petrino, Smith, Quinn, Arthur. Damn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So basically, Charles Johnson, and I don't know if he started his tweet, but Charles Johnson, with the former Carolina former Carolina Panther, he basically reported that he had some things to share, and he's pretty much happy that Matt Rhule was gone. He's got some inside stories that he was going to share. Now, I don't know if he started sharing them yet. I'm pulling up his Twitter now. Yeah, so basically he said Okay, I finally talked my ish now about Matt Rhule. I'll tell y'all this story later today. But hell yes, today is a good day. That's what he said. And he has not started telling his story yet.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting one. But I mean, y'all remember Cam's pressure on the way out the door, don't you? When he talked about how it was so different from what it was when he was there prior to the new coach. He talked about how the culture is different and everything else around it. Y'all really want the answer to this question? Because y'all gonna be very disappointed if I answer this question. Who should we trade for picks? Christian McCaffrey should be the first one on the door, bro.
Christian McCaffrey should be traded. I mean, it's just y'all not gonna like it, but it's the truth. But yeah.
I don't know how feasible it is to trade DJ Moore, but I don't want to trade DJ Moore. But I don't know how realistic that is, considering we just signed him to a new contract.
A lot of wide receivers come out every year. I say that.
Yes, there are, and the Bills are interested in trade for CMC, but there's been rumors about that for a while. But I'm not shocked. I mean, look who the head coach is. You know, dog. If they get CMC, man, y'all can just go ahead and give Bills the damn trophy now.
It'd be a great situation for him. I mean, that's the quarterback. There's no pressure on him to do
my
the damn thing.
God.
Like, come on, man. It'd be a great scenario for. But all right, Dave. Do we want to keep this thing going? We're gonna be live again in about 4 hours, 3 hours, so 3-4 hours, whatever. So you want to cut this and meet up later?
It's 4:45. Make sure you guys like and subscribe before we get out of here.
Yeah. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. Get us to 17,500. We're close. We're getting close. We're about, I think, 70 subscribers away. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We're gonna be back again live at 8:30 tonight. We're gonna give everybody or some folks an opportunity to come on the show and kind of talk about it. But yeah, man. Again, I didn't like what I heard from the press conference, but that's about what I expected to get a bunch of cap. And that's David Tepper's press conference. He was frustrated, not a good look. Played the COVID card a lot. Non-committal on Scott Fitterer. We may or may not get a college coach this year. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. All right.
So wait, before we close out, I do have a question. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how believable is he's going to legitimately give Steve Wilson an opportunity to win the coach job? Like, let's say we got 12 games left. Let's say Wilkes goes 7-5. Do you hire him? Do you think he will hire him?
7-5. Isn't that the winning that he was talking about the entire?
That's why I said
show?
7-5.
So
that's why I said 7-5.
If he does,
we won't make the playoffs. We're 8-9.
If he does that, I think that's a legit. I think he should consider it, but I don't know. I think you got to look at the roster and look at the situation. PJ Walker starting. A lot of injuries right now. There's a lot of context. This schedule is tough. So Steve Wilkes is in a messed up situation. It's not the prettiest situation. If he can make lemonade out of these lemons he about to get, then he deserves a job.
It all depends how you look at it, bro. When they ran John Gruden out of here, and that interim head coach took that team to the playoffs, they still brought Josh McDaniels in, who doesn't have a winning record right now, by the way. So it's all about perspective. It all depends on what the owner wants. So I think that's going to be the fascinating part for the remainder of 12 games. What would it take for Wilkes to legitimately get an opportunity to continue as the head coach? So, all right.
That being said, we will holler at y'all later. Like, subscribe, notification bell. 8:30, we back live again. Bring your thoughts, especially if you're a Patreon member. Make sure you're on Discord, or I will send a link to Patreon itself. So patreon.com, log into your account. I'll send a link to your inbox for you to join the stream tonight. All right. That being said, we out. We'll holler at you later. Peace. Oh, one more super chat. Great show, you guys. What do you think of Flores as a potential head coach candidate? Do y'all want an offensive defensive coordinator? I've been on record saying I want an offensive guy. Flores is cool. I don't think he's in my top 2 though. If I had to give a top 2, right now, I'm probably gonna go Leftwich and D'Amico Ryan. It's probably my top 2 guys right now.
Yeah, for me, it's Ryans and Leftwich, but the other way. I'm cool with
Yeah.
us taking a defensive guy. I think considering the structure, I'd rather have the defensive guy and you just hire a great offensive coordinator than the other way around. That's how I've always felt about it. Unless it's Sean Payton, we don't have to give up four picks. But all right.
All right, y'all. We out, man. We holler at y'all 8:30. Peace out, y'all.